This is the Sourceseeker, our intro episode of Hip Hop College Source. I'm your host, Baruti Carl Alexander. Thank you for joining me here. We're going to talk about Black music, Black culture, Black colleges, three prominent things within our community. Black music goes back to the slavery days, and even before that, it goes back to African beats and African music. So it's so prominent. The slaves used the Negro spiritual to elicit their pain and their endurance to get through the slavery process. And it carried them so deep to say, swing low, sweet chariot. It was a very important segment of life, and it helped them to get through some intolerable situations. And back in African days, the beat, the rhythm, all of those things really helped to allow the slaves to get into another spirit. I'm just going to cut this off right now. And it's always been a thing of the rhythm of our community, the rhythm of our life. And I want to introduce this episode by saying Hip Hop College Source. We talk about Black culture, Black history, Black colleges. We discuss music and the changes in music. How much has music changed over the years? Well, we have rap that we don't understand, some of it today. But if you go back and look at the 80s, different things like Foo Snickens, Das Effects, those type of rap songs were difficult to understand, but they had meaning. They were trying to say something. I'm not as sure the songs of today are trying to say something. But we had so many songs with meaning and soul and crooning. Marvin Gaye, we had Teddy Pendergrass. We had so many artists. Parliament Funkadelic introduced funk. They introduced a whole new genre of music. Not as much of that today, but we can't just discount the artists of today. Broadway, all the different artists that are today that come in with their own kind of melody and music and culture that are hitting things raw today. Maybe we as older gentlemen, I'm 61, we don't understand as much, but it's an important aspect. And this show will touch on those things. Now, I'm going to be the producer and the first host of this program, but I plan to have many other show hosts and people bringing different perspectives and different technologies. We will have cultural quizzes, Black quizzes that will come from a historical perspective. We will talk about Black colleges. Did many of you know that the first Black college was Cheney in Pennsylvania back in the 1790s, 1780s? Of course, Prairie View is very old. Wiley College in Texas is very old. Lincoln University in Oklahoma is very old. So Howard is a very old college. There's a lot of history. Fisk University in Tennessee. There's a lot of history in our colleges. And recently, my family and I, we went to Tuskegee, which is one of the oldest colleges, also founded by the great leader, Booker T. Washington. And we went and checked out his house where he stayed. And it's really on the outskirts there of Atlanta, about 200 miles from Atlanta in Tuskegee, Alabama. And it's a very historical place. Of course, we went to the Tuskegee Airmen's place also. So it was important. It was a good cultural occasion. And of course, we have some of the most prominent Black colleges. In Atlanta, we have Morris Brown, Spelman, Clark College, so many Black colleges across the country. Now we're going to ask this question: what's the experience in a Black college as opposed to a larger university? So we look forward to discussing those particular things. This is Hip Hop College Source, our first episode of that. This is our intro, the 140th episode of the Sourceseeker Hour. And this is the voice of our community. I'm just joined right now by an emeritus member of the group I founded, the Brighter Source Group. Emeritus means in very high standing. I hold this sister in the greatest and highest standard that I can hold someone, and that's why she has the title of emeritus. And I look forward to speaking with her. How you doing, Pam?
I'm doing fine. Can you see my picture?
I see it in the background of what I have on up there, but I don't see it on the camera screen. But
so can you see me?
I can't see you yet, but that's okay. We're just having a conversation about music of the old music that we came up with. And oh, there you go. You were just there for a second.
All right.
And we're just
there we
having
go.
a conversation.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing fine, thank you. How was your day at work? How was your day at work?
Oh, it was rough.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Well, I'm retired, and the roughest thing I have to do is go to my mom's house or to hear a backlash from my kids or so forth. But I can do that relaxing on the sofa, so it's okay.
Good for you. That's
yes,
a great thing.
We were just talking, I was just talking about, and we're live on Facebook also, and we're here on Zoom. We were just talking about Black colleges and the experience of Black colleges as opposed to the experience of some of the larger universities. And I wanted to mention 6 things that they say are a benefit of the historically Black colleges.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is it delivers higher returns for lower costs.
Wow.
That's the first one. The second one is it meets the needs of lower income and first generation students.
Mm-hmm.
It lowers the cost and narrows the racial wealth gap. I'm gonna comment on these comments I've already said. Lower costs, some of them are catching up, but if you look at the cost of, let's say, a UT or Texas A&M, they are extremely high. They are extremely high. So
yes, they are.
Yeah, they are extremely high to go to. And it's a big university. You can get lost and feel like a number in there. And what I felt, I wasn't really ready for college when I went to college. I really wasn't ready. I was immature, and it allowed me the time to get myself together while I was in college. And by that second year, I said, okay, this is what it takes. And I was able to do better. And I still had problems because I tried to pledge. And before I pledged, I had like a 3.6. After I pledged, I had about a 1.5. So, yeah, I mean, but I wouldn't probably have been able to recover had I went to a University of Texas or a Texas A&M. So the ability to go to Prairie View, the ability to go to Texas Southern really helped me to be where I am today, in my opinion. So you have any comment on that?
Well, one of the most outstanding things that I see, my experience with HBCU is different from your experience. I went to Texas Southern. Texas Southern is a different experience than most, like Prairie View and any other schools that you go on campus. Because
I must interject, I graduated from Texas Southern after I transferred from Prairie View.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about. The dynamic, the average age at that time when I graduated was 30. And one thing about, it's an inner city school. And another thing about Texas Southern, most of the people were older, And also, we worked a full-time job coming in there and getting our education and trying to complete and, better ourselves. Unlike, if someone at Prairie View A&M, they're indoctrinated, they're on campus, they're experiencing all of the campus. And you, Carl, being at Prairie View, you know that you experienced the pledging part. And I'm not saying people at TSU don't experience that, but I'm saying a good percentage, if 50 were off campus, if not higher, and then we had a full-time working job. So my experience with Texas Southern was way different from my husband's experience at Prairie View. He was all in. He pledged. He was a military, got commissioned as a military officer. He was full-time on campus. He lived there. He partied there. He played there. So when I hear what all he did, he said the best time he ever had with no money was on Prairie View campus. I didn't have that experience, but I'm glad I went to an HBCU because I felt cared for, and they wanted me to succeed. So that's one of the things you did. Now I remember they did things that could help you and encourage you to go to this place, tutorial. And if you wouldn't, I felt at home.
Yes, I just want to say the experience of HBCUs is vast. It's not just a monogamous one-way kind of experience, because you got all different kinds of, you have inner city HBCUs like
Sure.
TSU, Southern to a certain extent. Now I was just at Tuskegee, which is much more like Prairie View. And so you had that campus feel. But then you do have some that are in the inner city and they have that different experience. And so
like Southern.
It's multiple different kinds of experiences going on. But I think the one thing that we could talk about and share is you had the feeling that the people care.
Right.
You have a feeling that you are among people that care. Now, you might have some difficult experiences. Deion Sanders talked about when he was at Jackson State, people broke in his car, people did all of those kinds of things. Yeah, some of those kinds of things happen, but believe it or not, they could happen at Texas A&M. They can happen at Texas also. So they're just not at the HBCUs, and the values, I believe, outweigh the disadvantages. So and the HBCUs today are getting more accreditation, more feeling, more people interested in them, I guess because of social media and different things happening. But across the board, they're getting more credit, and that's a good thing. I just want to say this for this show. This is our intro show of Hip Hop College Source, and we talking about Black music, Black culture, and Black colleges. At this time, I would like to play a video of back in the day that goes into some of the music that we had back in the day. Let's share it and let's play it.
Everybody is a star, but who could rain and chase dust away? Everybody wanna shine. Who will come out on a cloudy day? 'Tis the sun that loves you brown. When the system tries to break you down, never had the shine at night. You don't need darkness to do what you think is right. Everybody shine on me. I love you for who you are, not the one you feel you need to be. Ever catch a falling star? There ain't no stopping till it hits the ground. Everybody's a star, one big circle going round and round.
Okay, you saw that. That was some of the music we had back in the day. That was from the 70s. Music has changed today, and but we don't see music now. When Prince came along, Prince had music similar to that at some times, but the music today, people don't have as much depth or feeling. What do you account that to?
In my opinion, I think the rap music, and well, when we grew up, Carl, we grew up with rap. And remember, it was the East Coast rap, hip hop.
That was in the, I mean, rap really started in the 80s. I mean, right at 1980.
Right. That's what I'm talking about, that era. And remember
So
that
you
era
saying
was,
that changed things?
no, that didn't. I apologize. That was really the good stuff. It was positive, encouraging, fun, and we laughed, and it was understood. It was always don't, I'm close to the edge, or I remember D Nice, all those positive rappers. When it hit the West Coast, and they called the so-called gangster rap, and everything kind of flipped, where everything became the B word, the whole word, the N word. And remember, those generations were affected by, you called the woman the B, the hoe, the N, and it talked about killing the police, shootings, and robbing. I think, remember how important music was to us, and how it made us feel, and how we celebrated. All of a sudden, it became very dangerous to me, very violent, very dope selling type. Not all, I'm not saying all. It's certainly some rap music that I like, but I think when gangster rap, it turned it upside down. And a lot of that generation, my son's generation, and the 10 years the generation before them, that is what they've consumed, is that type of music. And that's what they call great music, and music that they love. They bandage it now into hip hop, which aligned it with Michael Jackson's type of hip hop music, but it's still gangster rap, and it's violent.
Let me ask this. Is there some music of today that you like? Have you heard Rod Wave before?
No, never.
Okay. Well, he has some music that is pretty good. Some of the others, but 90% of it, I can't say that I like or have even listened to that very much. I don't really listen to it unless my daughters or my son bring it up and so forth. So I understand, but the music like we just saw right there, that had some meaning.
It did.
That had some meaning. And people were
Everybody's a star.
Huh?
Everyone's a star.
Yes. I mean, you go back to what Marvin Gaye was saying, or even Teddy Pendergrass. You go back to what they were saying. They were
love
trying to say
songs.
something.
Right.
And maybe you are right that when gangster rap happened, that flipped things on his head. But I want to play something else and discuss this, and how did this affect things? Give me a second here.
can't swim. I never could swim. I never will swim. Oh, put me down. Let go my leg. I told you, will you shut up? I told you I can't swim. Oh, no. Put me down. I hate water. Will you shut up?
Never learned to swim. Can't catch the rhythm of the stroke. Why should I hold my breath? Feeling that I might choke. Things you blow because of things you swim through. Watch for your nose despite your face. With the rhythm it takes to dance to what we have to live through. You can dance underwater and not get wet. Oh! Psycho alpha disco beta fire aqua doodle.
Let me down. Let go my leg.
Psycho alpha disco beta bio aqua doodle. Psycho alpha disco beta bio human
I hate water. Let me go. Put me down.
There go that fun music.
Never mean to drown. Ain't comprehending all the strokes.
Why should I hold my breath?
Feelings that I might choke. There's a magic rhythm, one with the real drum. Right through your nose, just like your face. With the rhythm it takes to dance to what we have to live through. You can dance underwater and not get wet.
I am the nose. I don't swim. I don't dance. I don't swim or dance. I'm too cool.
So that's Aqua Boogie. And at the time, that was so unconventional. That was,
It was.
I mean, they sitting up there with diapers and coming out of a spaceship. I mean, we don't want
was-
the kids to think that we were square. We were down with everything going on. We thought we were so hip back then. But now that would seem
No,
kind of
that was
gossip.
at that time. Motown was big, and it was all that love stuff. And then you had someone that came with a completely different type of music, and it was creative. It was entertaining. It was fun. The words. So it was just that. It
And
wasn't.
it was danceable.
It was danceable. So, and it was entertaining. You laughed, you engaged, you felt good about it. I mean, I didn't, it wasn't any violence, that it wasn't demeaning of women, it wasn't demeaning of men. It was just, some people may not have liked it. My parents, no, not so. But we really enjoyed it. Yes.
Yes, we did. And the rap crew, they came in and they did a lot of sampling of that, but they put
Right.
their own take on it, their own look on it and so forth. So music has evolved, and you might have a point there that when gangster rap happened, it brought in a whole new terminology and things. And
Demeaning, very demeaning. And I'm not saying all of it, but I'm telling you, it was very dark. And when things go dark, you know what you bring in, that dark side, and it gets darker.
yeah,
And that's what happened.
yeah, I mean, we have to be honest about where we at in music. If we listen at music today, you are getting a lot of the B word and words of nothing encouraging, words that are dark, ego-centered, and talking about negative things, talking about crime, how much drugs they are taking, and different things of that nature. So even the early rap did not talk about that. Even if you go to people like Poor Righteous Teachers and Fu Snickens and Mass
Positive,
Effect.
positive. There you
Yes,
go
and
again.
very creative though.
Very creative, very positive.
Yes.
Now, I listened, I know a song to this day that they're talking about how they sell dope. Now that song is good, but once I realized that they're transporting how they transport weed, and I realized that, okay, this is about transporting. And a person of my age, yeah, it's a great song, but I can't celebrate.
But
Trans-
even that, see, they don't even go to the point of trying to hide or trying to make you think. They just go going out there and saying it. For instance, a song like Mary Jane, it took me 100 years to figure out he was talking about smoking marijuana, but it's a good song. And really, you listen at it, you thinking he love a girl named Mary Jane, So,
but that's the creativeness of it.
yes,
That's the creative, that they didn't say it, but it was said. And maybe that's the good part about it, the beauty in it, that I don't have to tell you that you're full of crap, but I can say it in a way that I just don't think that you're, and that was the creative part of it. To say something so rude and abrupt can be hurtful, demeaning. So when you're talking about I'm selling drugs, you the B word, and I'm selling drugs, I went to prison, I did robbery. I mean, I know that happens. And the N word was so celebrated.
yes.
Like we calling each other the N word. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, to this day, another woman just can't walk up to me and say, hey, B. I mean, maybe that's my generation. We don't
I don't think
dialogue
so.
like
No, it's not. It's not an accepted thing. Now, the walls with the kids have broken down in a lot of ways, but that's why we have the problems that we do. We didn't have those problems the same way 40 years ago. We didn't have those problems the same way. We didn't have the problems of kids being respectful to adults. We didn't have those same problems. So a lot of that has to do with the evolution of generation, as well as the educational system, which is a byproduct of the fall of society. I always tell people that it's not, I mean, how can you expect the educational system to contain what's happening in society?
And remember, we learn through hearing. So when they said that music does not incite or encourage, they're wrong. And I always said that because everything we learn, how we learn is through hearing. Sight learners, we always talk about sight, people are visual. So yes, we're visual, but we're also we learn by hearing. And when you hear such negative and abusive to them, and I kind of feel sad because if that's all you were raised on, I mean, imagine if my brain was all that's what I heard. I can't help but be negative, aggressive, and meanful and abusive to women. And I say abuse because it's a lot of that misogynistic approach that men have, that I'm the stuff. I'm better, women need me.
Well, we can't just blame music. We can also blame all media, TV, the internet. So we just can't blame music. I mean,
because we're talking about music.
That's true. But the dissolving of society has affected everything.
Absolutely. But we're talking about music.
That is true. That is true. Very much so.
So
right now, I would like to have some questions for our quiz, some Black History questions, and people on Facebook, if you would like to give an answer. I'm gonna put this out there, then I'm gonna give the answer. Me and Pam are gonna give the answer, and I'm gonna give us a second after I put it out there to see if somebody on Facebook has got the answer. Okay, The first question is, the ancient name for the African country of Sudan, is it Libya, is it Myrna, or is it Nubia? I'm gonna look real quick at Facebook if anybody has that.
In Sudan, you said?
Yes, the ancient name for Sudan. Is it
I'm
Libya,
gonna say,
Myrna, or Nubia? Would you like to give an answer, Pam?
I'm gonna say it's something I can't pronounce. What was the last one you said?
Okay, the answers are Libya, Myrna, or Nubia.
Myrna.
It is Nubia.
Nubia. Wow,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
what a beautiful name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2. This North African theologian wrote The City of God, and it was a promoter of Christianity throughout Africa. Was it Pontius Pilate? Was it Xerxes? Or was it St. Augustine?
Pontius Pilate was the one that killed Jesus. So it wasn't him. I'm gonna say St. Augustine was, he was in Italian. St. Augustine, it was the other guy. What's the other one you said?
It was St. Augustine.
Oh my, but St. Augustine is known for something else. I forgot what he was named for creating.
I believe there's more than one St. Augustine.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's more than one, but this one was a North African theologian that I'm speaking of. Okay,
Was he Black?
he was.
Okay.
North
And
Africa.
so you're telling me what time, I'm just kind of educate me. So he had Christianity in what year? What year was this?
I have to give you further information. I didn't write that part down what exactly the dates were. St. Augustine in
Must
North
have been
Africa.
in the 1900s.
No, it was way before that. It was way before that. It was actually before the Romans took over. So it was way before
But
that.
it wasn't Christianity. See, Christianity wasn't, it wasn't called Christianity.
It wasn't called Christianity. Yes.
No.
Yeah. Or it might have been right after the Romans took over. I'm gonna have to go back and totally make sure about that because I don't want to give wrong information. But I do know it was St. Augustine that did it. But I got to give you the time period. So I want to make sure I tell the audience the correct timing on that. So I am going to put a little statement on our site, the Brighter Source group site, about St. Augustine and what time and what he did to make sure.
Because you know when the religion was formed, right? When Christianity.
Officially by Constantine and after the
Constantinople.
Nicene Creed.
Right, Constantinople, and that's in Rome. So
Yeah.
I said religion.
Constantinople in Rome. You sure it's in Rome? I think
Yes.
it's in Constantinople was in. Well, don't correct me when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I mean I don't know. But I thought it was in Turkey, that area. But hey, we all gonna have to make sure we know about this and research this. I went and researched these particular answers and I got that part right. But with anything, there's so many different parts of it. So
Right.
to have the
And there's
full,
so many lies told.
yes, so
Mhm.
many lies told. So that was number 2. Number 3, this HBCU university acquired by Bishop Daniel Payne and the AME Church in Ohio is called Wilberforce, Notre Dame, or Fisk.
And an HBCU, Notre Dame, you said Notre Dame? Notre
Notre
Dame?
Dame, yes.
Okay.
Notre
River
Dame, Notre Dame.
Forest. And
And
what
the
else?
other one were Fisk and Wilberforce.
I would say River Forest.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. That is correct. Okay, this is the last one. This HBCU is the only HBC located in Oklahoma. Is it Tulsa University, Langston University, or Bethune-Cookman?
Bethune is not, okay, it's Langston.
That is correct. And yes, so that is the only one in Oklahoma, yes, in Oklahoma. And we got two we're gonna look back upon. We are gonna look back at St. Augustine and what he exactly did. He's the writer of City of God and a promoter of Christianity throughout Africa, but we want to know the time.
You have to know the time because you're talking about a time with Christianity throughout Africa. I'm not saying that they didn't worship. What I'm saying, you're using the word Christianity.
I am using the word Christianity. So if I'm using the word correctly during the right time, it had to be after the Romans.
You talk about in the you're talking about the 1900s. If you're talking the 1800s, now you're talking the slave trade. You're talking a lot that went on there. So, and you always talk about the three things that they bought was their religion, and the alcohol. Religion being one of them. So you're talking either the 1800s. Religion, what?
I am going to, while we online here, I would like to look that up so we can give accurate information to our audience. I'm going to look that up. I'm looking up St. Augustine, North Africa theologian.
Oh, north? How far north?
That is a totally good question. We're going to check that out right now. But yes, North Africa. Augustine,
like Egypt?
Let me give you accurate. Okay. I am going to come back and I'm going to put the share screen on so we can all see this and read this. Okay, it says Augustine of Hippo. Okay, he was 354 to 328, so that is before Christ. He was a theologian, philosopher of Berber origin, and the
But
bishop.
that looks like a white guy.
Yeah, I've seen other pictures of him as a black guy. Yeah, and this is in North Africa now. And back in this time, you know how many pictures they have of Jesus that are white guy. I'm sorry.
Well, we know why that what's his name created Jesus and okay, let me not get there. Who did the first portrait of Jesus Christ?
What's his name?
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci, okay.
Right. And he also did the same of the Lord's Supper. So he was the first one that did the image.
Historians that I have read say that this gentleman was black. So that's
okay. The picture you're showing me right now, he's not.
Yeah,
and Aurelius.
Right now, they trying to show that he is not. But it's not the first time that has been inaccurate.
Correct.
But we further on that. But the fact that he's in North Africa during that time also.
And the fact that he's that, yeah, you know what North Africa look like. Yeah. So it's definitely inaccurate, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I
have a problem with that Christianity, though. I really do have a big problem with that. Unless it spilled over at that time, but I have a big problem with that.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that are problematic. Even the belief of or how
Well-
go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, they recently showed a picture in 1920, what Israel looked like in 1920. They had a bunch of black folk walking there. They look more like Ethiopia's black folk. What happened to the black folks in 1920 in Israel? I mean, how did they just disappear? And they somehow that footage came out. It was black, dark folk walking around Israel in 1920. And I'm not telling them they want Palestine. What I'm saying, they will look more like, they had the complexion. They have similar looks to like Eritrea. So I'm just saying, okay. I mean, where did that footage come from? And why hadn't we seen this before? So it's just amazing. And they had footage
Well,
of people in
a lot of
also.
reason. A lot of reason for that. Even if you just go back to what happened in 1948, that they turned over the country to the people who were saying that they were descendants
Israel
of,
well, I'm not gonna say from Germany, but the United States had a hand in that too. They said Palestinians.
okay, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Palestinians, this is no longer your land. It's going to be though in 1948 or 47. This is who is going to occupy that land. So they basically kicked everybody out that was there and put them there. And so it
Most
placed
definitely.
them there. That's interesting. That's another. So
Yeah,
now that it would never be peace in that land because of that.
Yes, and that's why it's always been war and different things happening. But they first have to be able to tell the truth and be honest about it. That's going to be the first thing that is necessary. Okay, we are toward the end of our program, and I thank you very much. This is our first episode of Hip Hop College Source, and we're going to have many other shows. We're going to have a show this Sunday where we have an interview with a HBCU grad who is going to describe his experiences and talk about some of the things that he's encountered, as well as give some of the difficulties that HB students have. And he's going to talk about music also. But what I'd like to do now is share a video of Rod Wave. This is the new music.
Why you have to use ghetto?
Say it again.
Why do you have to use ghetto?
It says ghetto.
Remember as a small child we would play. I was way before the drama, I endured in the pain. Mama had already told me there'll be days when it
One thing it
rains.
has is,
Lately it's been crazy,
but this is
hurricanes.
one of
This
those
life we
ones
live
you're
is
supposed
strange.
to be.
I've been lost since I was young. Remember pops out went to prison. That's when we was low on funds. Mama said I have this chip on my shoulder, that's forever. Seen him close the casket on Deja, we grew up together. Then Ace told me play
One
it
thing,
safe. 3 days
we
later
do a
he
lot
was
more
murdered.
cursing and
Got
stuff
me on
than
my
we do.
knees, I'm
That
asking
was
God, what's
taboo
my
back
purpose?
then.
I pray that before I leave my heart in these verses. Till then I lay in this bed and replay thoughts in my head. Mama told me when it rains, it be pouring. Mama told me it would rain, but it's storming. I got this chip on my shoulder forever. I got this chip on my shoulder forever. Mama told me when it rains, it be pouring. Mama told me it would rain, but it's storming. I got this chip on my shoulder forever. I got this chip on my shoulder forever.
So there are some out
I
there
got
that
this chip on my shoulder
are
forever.
saying something.
I got this chip on my
This is one of
shoulder
the top artists.
forever and ever.
That's good. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I hate certain titles. Ghetto is something that was not created by a Black person. It was a word that I don't want to, seem like when I say white and black, that's not us. That was something that they called
we have a
us.
different perception of what is basically good and bad. We have
Well,
a different.
ghetto is something they created and called our community ghetto.
Yeah.
The ghettos. Remember where that word came from? It was not us that created that word. So you got to be careful. That's another demeaning word. Yeah, it's a neighborhood. Leave it at that. That's what it is. We using their words and I'm not saying that, and I know it's the same word with the N word. They created that word and called us this, and we're trying to make it pretty.
Very
Why?
much so.
Why? Why?
Well, I mean, it goes back to, back to biblical days also. They wanted to call, I think, they wanted to call the people in biblical days the one, and that's where a lot of this started back in those days, where they wanted to talk about the people who were not of their tribe or not
Right.
of their ways.
Right.
I want to play this particular song also. Let me hold this. I'm going to get it back. This is another song that is of today.
Okay. I like that other one. I written it down.
Okay.
I think we should give them back the word though.
Give them back what?
Ghetto and the N word.
Love yours. Love yours.
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
No
So
such
there's
thing.
somebody out there doing
No
things.
such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Love yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing. Heart beating fast, let a nigga know that he alive.
That's one
Fake
thing. They
niggas
gotta
mad,
say
snakes in the grass, let a nigga know that he arrived.
back in our day.
Don't be sleeping on your level, cause it's beauty in the struggle, nigga. Beauty, beauty. It goes for all y'all. It's beauty in the struggle, nigga. Beauty, beauty. Let me explain. Yeah. It's beauty in the struggle, ugliness in the success. Hear my words and listen to my signal of distress. I grew up in the city and know sometimes we had less. Compared to some of my niggas down the block, man, we were blessed. And life can't be no fairy tale, no once upon a time. But I be goddamn if a nigga don't be trying. So tell me, mama, please, why you be drinking all the time? Does all the pain he brought you still linger in your mind? Cause pain still lingers on mine.
Tupac,
On the road to riches, listen, this is what you find. The good news is, nigga, you came a long way. The bad news is, nigga, you went the wrong way. Think being broke was better. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Think being broke was better. Life that's better than yours. No such thing, no such thing. For what?
But we can't give up on I guess, the music and culture of today. They'll find their way just as we did. And we got to give them credit. Now, there's some things that I didn't play.
But they're 6 feet under. So they're going to be digging a long time. Unlike, we didn't realize, I think we were always above ground. And the reason why I said they're under is because when you use words that was not created by us from the oppressor to demean yourself, I mean, why? I don't get it. I mean, it's kind of like I'm using the B word to another black woman or woman, period. Why would I do that? I mean, I can hear everybody get angry when we say words, but why would I want to celebrate that, sing that in a song and say the word?
Well, we do have to admit that in some ways an enemy have done this. There's an old video and an old thing about how the record industry promoted gangster rap, and they promoted it and pushed a lot of guys into it because they have contracts with the prisons.
Absolutely. You know, it's absolutely because it was, you know, I've heard this one particular white man said, you think that they would allow that on the white radio stations? Somebody talking about abusing a black one, a white woman, rape, you know, raping her, or something like that, that it'll be taken off the
But
air
as always,
immediately.
the movement is to show them, highlight things that, you know, people see and don't really give them the substance, because they don't want you to have the substance, but they want you to enjoy what's right there, and then you're going to turn around and give it back to them by what your spending habits are. That's what it's set up to do. So yeah, it's been like that. But what we
But
want
that-
to do is
But
we
that
want to
music can be
educate our
sold in the
people
white
so we
community.
can do better, ma'am.
But that music cannot be sold in the white community. They
Yeah,
will
of
not.
course not. Of course not. And
I mean, it can be celebrated, and the most of the people that were what I'm saying, bankrolling it were in Interscope Records, because I looked at that, you know, they were doing what was stuff about the different record companies and Dr. Dre and how all that, Snoop Dogg, and who Interscope Records is just white guys bankrolling. I didn't know that the white guys were bankrolling Ice Cube until he came out supporting Donald Trump. So, and then you realize, thinking he had Q vision, it wasn't even his. It was Z's, and that's why he was like backing Trump. We shouldn't go with a Democrat. We should consider an alternative Trump. So what I'm trying to say, like, I'm not Democratic or Republican. I don't classify myself at either part, and I'm not going politics. What I'm saying is that I'm for the
yeah,
right thing. I'm for good for people.
yes, me
You
too.
know, I want the best for people. I don't really want that game playing this side is bad, this side is good. I think that's all created
But
to
we
divide
do
us.
have to say there has to be some standards of good and bad and right and wrong. Because if you just
It's not that. It's evil, Carl. It's becoming evil. Evil is winning. So
but we
it's
gotta
not
be
good and
careful.
bad.
Who
You're talking
decides
about a
what
different
evil
good and
is?
bad.
There was a time when they put little black kids in front of alligators and weren't considered evil.
That's evil. But we
Of
see
course it's evil, but who is deciding what evil is?
what Dr. King says. He said, evil does exist. He said it's in the heart and the soul of man. We're still looking for that devil with those horns on the head. But Dr. King says, when I think about that, he said, evil does exist. It's in the heart and the soul of man. But one thing about man that we can't realize, we realize evil is like crazy. It's not, this man may do something real evil, then do something very nice. Give 100,000 to the children's museum. See, evil exists, and it's in the heart and soul of man.
Yeah, very much so. I want to say this is our 140th episode of the Sourceseeker Hour, and it's our first intro episode of Hip Hop College Source. We'll be back this Sunday, and I want to thank my guest, Pam Ballard Hicks. Thank you very much for having this conversation with me about Black music, Black culture, Black colleges, and we're going to keep talking about it. And if you are interested in being a host and talking about these issues, please contact me, because we're going to continue this. And I want to include more people in this conversation. When we're talking about media, music, and we can include films and TV in this conversation also, because media is so important to our mind. And if we can interject in some young person's mind the value of what they are hearing, and then how they relate that to what they do and what they say, we have done a service. That's what I would like to do. I would like to help a young person understand certain things about what's coming in their mind, and then how they can take that and regurgitate some good information from what they have heard, or some positive information. We want to thank you, and we want to say we'll see you next time. And thank you very much. And if you have some comments on Facebook, let me know, and I will respond to you. Thank you, Pam.
Bye-bye.